And we're going to talk about tonight. So if you're just joining us online, I'm going to say that again because that was a super quick transition. But sometimes things that we own start to own us. And they're called idols or security blankets. And they're the things that we cuddle up with. And they temporarily make us feel so much better. Any of you still sleep with a blankie from your childhood or a stuffed animal? Don't be afraid to admit it. Yes. Okay. Slowly the hands are going up. So I have found my new security blanket. If you don't know this about me, I'm super cheap. I will not buy it unless it has been discounted 82 times. And so I'm in Ross, which, in case you don't know, is the best place to shop for cheap stuff. And there was this beautiful pillow. And it was so humongous, like bigger than I am. And it was chevron. And it was brown, dark brown, which is the color of my bedroom. And then I made the mistake of touching it. And I was like, oh, it's so soft. But there was no price tag. So I walked away, looped around another time. Oh, there's no price. I'm not doing it. Found my way back to the pillow aisle and said, well, I'll just put it in my cart. No harm in checking, right? So I finally get up to the checkout, and I'm like, okay, if it's more than $8, I'm not buying it. And then I'm like, can you check the price of that pillow? And they're like, it's a dog bed. And I'm like, I think I still want it. Like, it's just like so awesome and cuddly, and it's brown chevron. And they said it's $14.99, and I went, ooh, that's more than $8. But it's so soft and brown chevron. And I got it for myself. So I have my brand new adult security blanket. Now, I have another awesome security blanket story that makes me sound like the mother of the year. Do you want to hear about it? Yeah. Okay, so my daughter had this, like, her favorite blankie. Like, literally took it everywhere. Like, it's, the rotted from dragging it through the mud everywhere we go. Okay, and so we had just had our last Sunday at our old church before we came here to plant this church. Like, we said goodbye to everyone. We're going to miss you so much. We're never coming back here. Bye. My daughter tells me the next day, I left my blanket at the church. And I'm like, she was too young to understand. We're literally never going back there, right? And so we tried to get her replacement blankets. Did not work. Don't do that with a kid. They know what it smells like. And so then 3 years later, there was a conference at that same church. And I said, I'm going into that nursery, and I'm going to find that blanket. And so I asked people that work there, hey, I need this blanket. It's, pastel roses. Do you know it? Okay, there's 82,000 pastel rose little girl blankets in there. But they let me go look, and I found it. And I got, thank you, clap for me. Thank you very much. Okay, so I got to present this back to my daughter. And it still smells like my baby. Okay, so that day, I was definitely the mother of the year. She was so excited to have this back. She literally couldn't believe it. It was like from her past, like fell from the heavens. The blanket was returned to her heart and her soul. And so she's very excited. But the thing about this blanket is it cute? Yes, it's very cute. Double-sided in case you want to know. But this blanket couldn't actually give Kylie what she was looking for, right? It couldn't keep her safe. It couldn't keep her parents married. It couldn't give her a happy home or a great childhood. It couldn't give her any of those things. Because kids look to security blankets for things that they cannot give. And the thing about that is, so do we, right? We have security blankets in our lives. Some are good, some are bad, some are neutral, but none of them can actually give us what we're looking to them for. And my other son, Drew, he did the same thing. Every time one of his friends would move away or switch churches and he would never see his cute little friend again, he would ask us to take him to build a bear. And he would build a bear or a dinosaur or whatever, and he would name it whatever the kid who had just left was. So I know, isn't that so sad? If he's watching online, he gets $20, because if I ever mention my kids in a sermon, they get $20. Okay, so he had this row of these stuffed animals, like a collection of all the friends he had loved and lost, right? But it wasn't his friends. It was just a dinosaur and a bear, right? Because security blankets can't give you what you're looking for in it. So that's the question I have for you tonight. What are you relying on more than God? What are you trusting in more than God? What are you putting the whole weight of your life on going, I sure hope this holds me? What are you cuddling up for security or peace or protection or comfort or escape that it just cannot give you? And it doesn't have to be bad things. A lot of security blankets are good things, but we've put them in the wrong place in our life. We've asked them to do something they cannot do, just like Drew did and just like Kylie did. Like something like TikTok, that's neutral. Can you use it for a lot of good things? Yes. Can you use it for a lot of bad things? Yes. Okay, so what are you trusting in more than God? What do you think has more power in your life than God? Do you think your poverty has more power than God? Do you think your past does? Do you think your grades do? Do you think your talents or your weight or your failures or your parents' addiction or your addiction, do you think those have more power over your life than God? We're going to take a look at that tonight. Or maybe you're not relying on it, but you think it can fix you. It can make you happy. It can fulfill you in a way it can't. Like, do you think video games can fix your soul? Is it bad to play video games? No. Can they fix your soul? And no. Do you think drugs can do that? Or porn? Or gossip? Or anger? Or sports? Or your Instagram feed? When Drew looked to that array of stuffed animals, they couldn't give him his friends. His friends were gone. He was relying on something that couldn't give him what he was looking to them for. So be careful what you rely on because they just might let you down. Here is a quote I love. False gods promise what only the real God can deliver. Whew. If you can just take that home with you and apply it to whatever your security blanket is, your life will be different. Because that's what they do. They're false security. They're fake fulfillment. And some of those things are fine to have in your life, but they can't fix your situation. And they can't speak to your heart. And they can't save your soul. They're not something to make your identity or trust for your future. They can help you temporarily, but they have no real power. And I heard a quote so many years ago. I mean, none of you were probably even born, honestly. It was on the side of a vending machine at a youth conference. And it said, everything in your life is either a tool or an idol. I just sat there for hours just rereading that. Every time I walk by, I just sit there, reread it. It's either a tool or an idol. And that's the thing I want you to figure out tonight. Are the things in your life a tool or an idol, a security blanket that's not going to be reliable? Your grades can either be a tool that gets you where you want to be in life or an idol that you put your whole identity in. If I don't get straight A's, I'm not worth anything. Your talents can be used to encourage people or something that builds up pride in your life that makes you dependent on everyone else's opinions. Tool or idol. Your past could be something that motivates you to stop a cycle in your family. Or it can be an idol that you let define the whole rest of your life. And tonight, we're doing the Living Beyond Normal a little differently. We're going to do it right now because we have someone today that did what we're talking about right now. Don't freak out when I say his name because I'm going to keep talking. But you can freak out later when I bring him up. But this is what Buzz did. What I'm exactly talking about is he had a gift in his life and a passion in his life about working out and eating right. And during the pandemic, he started a YouTube channel about it. And he could have said, hey, look at me. Hey, I'm awesome. Hey, I'm going to use this to build up my reputation. But instead he said, I just want to encourage people. I just want people to know there's hope. I just want people to know that they don't have to be depressed and sad and alone when they can't be on their sports teams. And so for that, Buzz, get up here and take your... The first green Live and Beyond Normal bracelet! Awesome. We're so proud of you, Buzz. So what I want you to do is take tonight and figure out which of those things are idols, where they went from just being something cool in your life to actually a security blanket, where you're like, it's not gonna really actually help you. They're not gonna be your identity, and they're not gonna be your future, and they're not gonna be what makes you significant. So we're gonna bring them from tools or from idols to tools that can actually help someone. So I'm gonna kind of give you some definitions of an idol, and I want you to start to pinpoint what they are in your life. We're all going to have a different answer, but I want you to just be thinking through what yours might be, and later there's going to be an open mic time if you just kind of want to share with your generation what's going on. So here's the test to see if somebody's gone from a tool to an idol. What distracts you? That's your idol. I could probably stop there, but here's another one. Where do you spend your money and time? That's your idol. An idol is anything you turn to and say, save me. Idolatry is worshiping anything that ought to be used or using anything that ought to be worshiped. See, it's not about it being good or bad. It's about being put in the wrong place in your life. Here's how the Bible puts it. Proverbs 14, there is a way that seems right to a person, but it only leads to death. That means I'm going to put my whole weight on it, and I think it's going to hold me. Man, when I just have that release when I go play video games, that's gonna fill me. It'll entertain you, but it's not gonna hold you. It seems right to you, it feels right for a minute, but it actually leads to nothing good. Whatever that is for you in your life. And so we're gonna have some people come up and share some specific security blankets in their life, and then there's gonna be an open mic time if you wanna come and share anything to encourage your generation. And so first up, we have Rachel coming up to talk about her security blanket. If you are online, hold up. She is coming up. And if you don't know Rachel, she's amazing, and you're about to get a treat listening to her. So give it up for Rachel.
Awesome. Okay, I'm a little taller. Hi, guys, and online, hello. My security blanket that I'm going to be talking tonight about is social media, specifically Instagram for me. That's my confession. But first, I just want to say right out of the gate that I love social media. I love Instagram specifically because it's a great tool that we can use to connect with one another, to share, to encourage. I have an aunt that lives in Australia, and it's a wonderful way for me to be able to connect with her. We share highlights and pictures, and we text each other on Instagram Messenger, and we even FaceTime each other. And so social media is a wonderful tool to be able to use to share our lives with one another, even if we live on the other side of the world. It brings one another closer. It's also another tool that we can use to share our faith, right? Can share a quote. Like you could post one of the quotes that Chris used tonight, or you could share a picture from youth group and saying, hashtag the Diff. It's also a great tool to share for recipes or find a recipe or perhaps a workout. Shout out to Buzz, and I know Drew Gray, if you're watching online, for your Instagram or YouTube accounts that you use to encourage people to work out. Okay, so before I choose to focus on and share with you why I wanted to talk about social media and Instagram, I wanted to give you a little bit of stats because I find them interesting. It also helps us to have perspective. So the average person spends 153 minutes a day on social media. 16 to 24-year-olds spend 3 hours a day. An average adult will spend 6 years and 8 months on social media in their lifetime. And I want us to focus on the word average. That means that if you're above average, you're an overachiever, you might be spending more than 6 years and 8 months on social media. Just take into consideration it takes 4 years to accomplish and earn a bachelor's degree. What are we doing with our time? In 1 second, there are 870 photos uploaded, and in 1 minute, 49,380 photos. So in the time it took me to say probably a few of these things, 50,000 pictures have gone up across Instagram. An average person touches their phone 2,617 times per day. So I just want you to kind of take in those numbers, because I think stats are really cool, and I think they give us sort of a bird's eye view. I think it gives us a moment to sort of kind of swallow and take that weight in of, whoa, what am I doing with my day? I chose to share about this security blanket because I wanted to confess with you that Instagram, social media has been a stumbling block or a security blanket for myself. And I wanted to just sort of ask, why? What is it about Instagram that is so addicting? What am I trying to fill? What am I trying to gain? Why am I staring at these little squares? And how is it helping me? How is it blessing me? To be honest, I'm still in process about these questions. However, one thing I am committed to you tonight, to God and before you, is to be aware and to ask myself, what is this growing in my life? And is it filling me with more contentment or more longing and discontentment? I want to be an encouragement to you. I want to be an encouragement to people who stare at my Instagram account. I want to be bringing people joy and hope and encouragement. I want to bring them closer to Jesus. God tells us in Philippians 4, verse 8, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is anything excellent, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. I want us to be using Instagram or using social media in a way where we're, using this scripture and a lot of scriptures as a filter. So is it edifying? Is it filling people with purity and true thoughts and honor? Are we comparing ourselves to others? Are we staring at people's highlight reel? I read this one quote that says, don't compare your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. Because this is so true, right? I want to live life in the present and be aware. And I want to live my life here with you, in interaction, in real time. And so part of what I think social media and what Instagram can be is it can be a time distraction and a time suck, and it can keep us away from being up and out. You go to a coffee shop or a cafe and you see people sitting around, maybe on, right now they're not sitting at coffee shops, but in theory we are, right? And eventually we will get back there. But even now, what are we doing when we're going out to dinner, or where we're even sitting at the dinner table right now? Are we staring at our phones? Or are we putting them down and actually looking into each other's eyes and having real conversations? I know I read recently as I was doing some research on this that a gentleman went out and he said he saw a group of people at a restaurant, and they literally all had phones out. And they were all looking at phones, and they were all sending each other messages and sending each other Instagram posts at the table, and no one was actually having a conversation. And they literally got up, paid the bill, and left. And he said, I don't think I saw one word exchanged. And I remember my husband and I saw that at a wedding. A couple were sitting there, and the whole time they were both just staring down at their phones. So this isn't to be like a killjoy, because like I said in the beginning, Instagram is a great tool. I just want us to be using our awareness and holding each other accountable to focus on how we can use it, how we can bless ourselves, how we can bless others, and how we can use this tool to bring God glory and to bring others joy. Because, friend, comparison is the thief of joy, and the joy of the Lord is our strength. And if your joy is gone, your strength is gone. And now I would love to introduce Melinda, who's going to share about her security blanket.
So I'll never forget, December 25th, 1993. Yes, I'm old, I know. I got, for Christmas, I'd opened all my gifts, and my grandparents come out with this big box, and they go, here's your last gift. We've been saving this one because we know you'll like it the best. Opened a brand new Super Nintendo. I was so excited, and that began my gaming journey. A number of years later, fast forward lots of years. I won't tell you how old I am. I have traded my Nintendo controller for a headset and Discord and a really nice gaming computer. And I love video games. Video games are great. Like Chris said, they're great. They're a great way to relieve stress. They're a great way to make friends. And but I noticed that when I put on my headset and I get into Discord, I become like this different person. I become my character. I've invested in my character. I become my character, and I become who my guildmates think I am. And I'm very good at being a chameleon. And I try to use that for them to make my identity. But I realized not that long ago that the more I invest in that identity, the more I'm losing my real identity, really who I am. Not only that, but I noticed I was not devoting as much time to stuff that I should. My Bible reading started slacking. I started missing church, started missing small groups, because I wanted to hang out with these people that were not good for me. I'm not going to lie. None of them were Christians, and most of them had a very bad opinion of my religion. But it's okay. I can brush that under the rug. It's fine. We'll just not talk about it, stuff like that. But then it really hit me one day when one of my guildmates I was on, and it was a Thursday night. We didn't have youth group that night, but I was on, and they know that I help with youth group. I'm very vocal about that. And she goes, wait, aren't you supposed to be a youth group right now? Like, why are you here? And I was like, oh, no, we don't have youth group tonight because it was New Year's, I think, New Year's. But that just hit me. Like, how many times have I missed stuff because I'm busy trying to find my identity with these people that I'll probably never meet in my life? Not only that, but like I said, I'd pick up some bad traits when I'm hanging out with these people. I know my language got a lot worse. Like I said, I was neglecting a lot of stuff. My dog, my Bible reading, my husband, all because I wanted these people to think I was cool, these people that I will never meet, these people that probably when they log off forget all about me. They only need me when I'm there healing them or fighting with them. So I just want to challenge you guys, when you're playing your video games or you're doing whatever, just don't lose who you are, because God is who needs to identify you. You are a child of God. You are a son, you are a daughter, and the gifts he's given you are what should define you, not a video game or not any kind of hobby. And I think it's Chris Murphy is coming up. Yay, Chris.
What's up? Reading light? It's good to be up here. You all are very good looking. Oh, wait. I was also going to time myself because I can't go over 5 minutes. This doesn't count. Any of this setup? Okay. I'm pressing start right now. Start. It was in the middle of summer. It was sunrise. And I started my car and began driving down Avenue L. And I know you guys have no idea where Avenue L is. It's in Southern California. And after a minute or so, I felt the first twinge of pain on my left hand. And I didn't really think anything of it. So I, just kept driving. Got about 1/10 of a mile further, and I started feeling other twinges of pain, almost like bites on my hand, on my arms, on my legs, on my chest. And it was still early in the morning. It was sunrise, right? I had woken up recently, so there was still sleep in my eye. I was still a little foggy. My car wasn't completely illuminated because the sun was rising behind me, like behind the mountains, and I was driving west. But I began to see the ants. My car was infested by ants. There were ants all over the dashboard, on the floor of the car, on the door frame. There were like little stragglers on the steering wheel, and they were all over my seat. I was sitting in the seat, so they were all over me. They were all up in my clothes, and I remember just screaming and pulling over as fast as I could in this shopping center on 20th Street West in Avenue L. There was a Taco Bell, and I just slammed on my brakes, jumped out of the car, and just started swatting my clothes furiously and screaming. And like, even when you think all the ants or bugs are off of you, you still feel ants like several days later. And so I was there just freaking out. And finally I'm calming down, but I don't want to get back in my car. And I'm sitting on the hood of my car, and I'm looking at the Taco Bell workers who were staring right back at me. They had just, gotten there to open. And I was thinking, how did I get here? I was living in my car. And I had been living in it for, I think, 3 or 4 months at that time. And it is illegal to sleep in your car in Los Angeles at the time. I don't know if it is right now. And so I would try to find places I could sleep in my car safely and comfortably, So I'd maybe go into neighborhoods or park under trees with low-hanging branches, and that's what I had done the night before. And it was 90 degrees out even at night, so I had the window cracked. And that's how the ants got into my car. And I remember thinking, like, why am I here? Why am I sleeping in my car? And it was all because I was following the advice of my peers and of my teachers and of the world. And let me back up. I decided 5 months earlier that come hell or high water, I was going to be a professional actor. Like all of my teachers, all of my friends, all of my family had said I should be. They were like, Chris, go to Hollywood, be an actor. And I was good, and I loved it. And so that's what I thought I had to do. And all of my acting teachers in college, they would tell me, and they would tell everyone, that if you want to make it in this career, you have to do everything you can. You have to put it all on the line. You have to risk everything. Sleep, like couch surf, sleep in your car if you have to. Like do whatever it takes, because if you don't, you're not going to make it, and you're never going to be happy. You're never going to feel that fulfillment because you should have gone for it. So that's what I was doing. And I wasn't happy. I was miserable. I don't think I had ever felt more alone. But everyone told me that that's what you had to do when you had a dream. You had to follow it with everything, right? And I knew it wasn't necessarily God's dream. I knew it was my dream. I knew it was something that I really longed for, but I never was certain that it was God's dream. But I knew it was what the world and all my friends and everyone was telling me I was supposed to do, and I was following that wisdom. All right, so the world's wisdom is kind of like a security blanket, and that's the segue, all right? But the world's wisdom is also all about self-fulfillment. I'm sure many of you guys have heard it, like follow your dreams, be true to yourself, just do it. It's all about how we feel, what's inside, right? And I've been reading a lot of John Mark Comer and listening to a lot of his sermons Chris Harold introduced me to him, not to him, but made me aware of him. And side note, if you guys want to get closer to God, if you want to just have more wisdom in your life besides reading your word, like find mentors and spiritual leaders and see what they're reading, see what they're listening to, and then read those things. Like seriously. So anyway, John Mark Comer said that there are 3 assumptions, I've already gone over time, but there are 3 assumptions that the world has. First, number 1, nobody or nothing should be able to stand in the way of getting what I want. Number 2, if anyone does, that equals oppression. Number 3, if I can't get what I want, I can't be happy. But the problem with all 3 of those assumptions is it is completely contrary to the teachings of Jesus. In fact, Jesus challenges us to deny ourselves, right? Do you guys know that verse? Some of you? In Matthew 16:24-26, Jesus says, if anyone wishes to follow me as my disciple, he must deny himself, set aside selfish interest, and take up his cross, expressing a willingness to endure whatever may come and follow me. Now, does this mean that you're not allowed to dream? You're not allowed to have dreams and not allowed to have goals and things like that? Absolutely not. God knows the desires of our heart. I mean, in fact, in Psalm 37:4, it says, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires and petitions. This is the Amplified version. I love that. Desires and petitions of your heart. He knows your heart way better than anyone else, better than yourself, right? But the problem with our hearts also is that they're deceitful. Right? Above all things, in Jeremiah it says, the heart is deceitful above all things, and it is extremely sick. Who can understand it fully and know its secret motives? Only God can. So don't let your dreams own you. Right? And maybe your dream is God's dream for you. And that's cool. And that's great, and that's amazing when it aligns perfectly. But maybe it's not. So don't put your whole weight, as Chris was saying earlier, don't find your whole identity in a dream that you are not certain that God has for you. Because you will wake up covered in ants. And I just hit my face. If anyone else would like to share something, you can come up now. Please, you don't have to come up. Anyone? Okay.
All right, so guys, if you don't want to come up because that's kind of scary and you're on the live internet, I get that, but I want to hear from the audience. And Chris, if you don't mind just finding people with the mic so the online audience can hear us, what are some things that are other security blankets that we didn't already mention? Or we did and you're like, ooh, I feel that one. What do you guys got? Raise your hand and get Chris's attention. Well, he is the reigning teenager living beyond normal, so.
I mean, sometimes it can be like food.
Yes. We have to eat to survive. That's a tool. But when we overdo it, that's now an idol. Good.
Sports.
Sports. I definitely went through a time when sports were an idol in my life and where I got all of my identity. Some of it, no, all of it. Yes.
People.
People, like their opinion of you? Yes. Okay, good.
Having to put out an image that everyone expects you to be, or that you had been before and it was genuine, and then now it's like hard to stay genuine, but everyone expects it from you, so.
Yeah, instead of living under grace. It's good.
Sports,
yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
Like Melinda said, 100% video games.
And everyone who lives with teenagers said, amen.
Work.
Yes, your job. Have you ever noticed that with adults? The first question they always ask each other is, what do you do for a living? Like, that's who you are, right?
Drew put in the chat, he said sports, and he also said, where's my money?
Okay, listen. Though, it is hard to be a PK, and can you imagine if your mom had a mic every week and told your most embarrassing stories? Like, $20, that's easy. Yes, you'll get it when I get home. Thank you for live streaming. You're awesome.
Anger, definitely for me.
Anger, yes. In fact, God says, be angry, but don't sin. Okay, what does that mean? That means I can be angry well, or I can be angry not well. Good one.
School.
Oh, you guys, honestly, I just need to park there for a second because I cannot believe how this generation has made this an idol. You will miss everything to get good grades in AP classes, and the minute you graduate, it means nothing. I'm not saying it's not good to study. I'm saying when you put all of your effort and money and time into that, and you graduate and you haven't been to youth group in 6 years because you wanted to get A pluses, it doesn't mean anything at the end. You're left, it doesn't hold your weight at the end. Good one.
Tia put in the chat, people's opinions.
Yes. There is a verse in James that says, if you want to be my servant, you will not be a slave to people's opinions. Good one.
I don't know if this could be one, but like I think like temptation would be one.
Yes, because you know what? Jesus was tempted. Is being tempted wrong? No, it's what you do with it after that. Good.
People's expectations for you.
Ooh, yes. Because we call it audience of one. Do I live to be who my parents say I am, or my leader, or my husband, or even my children? No, I have an audience of one, and I got to do what he asked me to do. Good.
Money.
Oh, Levi with the mic drop. Yes.
Emotions.
Tell me, Nathan, how you think that those are idols. I agree with you, but I want them to hear what you have to say about that.
Certain people will follow certain like hobbies or things they can do that can bring them a certain emotion. Like, I can't really think of like a perfect example right now, but like people will do things in general to find a certain emotion or feeling that they enjoy. Like when people do drugs, they have a certain like feeling go through their head, and they can get addicted to that. Or if they go like on adventures and stuff, they can get addicted to that, make it an idol. It can't be a thing, it can be an action or something they do.
Yes, they're cuddling up to that pastel rose blanket, and it feels good for a minute, but it's not really feeding you.
Pleasing others.
Guilty. You guys are calling me out.
Just like people that influence you in your life.
Yes, good or bad influences, right?
Trying to be perfect too much.
Yes.
Sometimes I have a hard one with this, but like fashion and clothing.
Yes. I got you there. Totally. Okay, so do we got one more? I got to cut you off at some point because we have so much more fun stuff to do.
Success.
Yes, exactly. So I want you to picture whatever you think your security blanket is. Picture it. There is a way that seems right to a person, but it only leads to death. We're aiming ourselves that way, thinking, this is going to make me feel good. This is going to fill my life. This is going to give me peace. This is going to give me everything. It's going to make me feel better. And if you take a really hard look at yourself, it's only making you feel worse. So where do we need to aim ourselves? So are we saying, you should never date and you should never play video games and throw your phone in the river? No, we're saying, let it be positive. Let it be a tool, not an idol. Use all those things, but use them in a way where they're not your identity. They're not your security blanket. They're not that row of stuffed animals. That isn't really what you thought it was. Security blankets cannot save you. Idols start by giving you something and then ask you for everything. And so I want you to think about this quote as we end this part of the night. What I do not absolutely surrender and give up to God comes between me and God. So are those bad things? Mostly not. But are they in between you and God? Probably, if you've made them something they were never meant to be. Could be a relationship, a thing, a habit, whatever it is. I want you guys to think about what yours is. And I want you to figure out how to talk to each other and to God about making it more of a tool and less of an idol tonight. And so we're going to go ahead and break for small groups. If you are online, this is where we say goodbye. I'm so proud of all of you who are watching online. Go ahead and make your own small group any way that you see fit. You could text some friends. You can FaceTime into our small groups. Whatever you want to do to give someone your security blanket. Get some accountability, get some ideas, get some prayer covering. And then you can click on the worship set at the end or FaceTime into our worship, which is pretty epic, I'm not going to lie. So everyone say goodbye to the online audience. And if you are in the building, you are going to head to small groups, and then we're going to come back to worship because we're going to listen to each other, our leaders, and then to God to figure out how to move our stuff in our life from idols to tools. All right, go ahead and head to small groups, and we'll see you back here in about 20 minutes.